All right, guys, our next guest is an absolute legend in both sports, both mixed martial arts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's an icon in the whole fight industry, and he'll be versing Sakuraba in a fantastic rematch at Metamoris 5. Today, he's on Submission Radio. He is none other than Renzo Gracie. Renzo, welcome to Submission Radio. How you going?
My dear friend, I wish you introduced me in my fights, I tell you.
We can redo it if you like.
You made me sound beautiful.
That was the aim, man. To make you sound beautiful is exactly my aim.
My brother, nice being here with you guys.
The pleasure and honor is all ours. Renzo, let's talk about this. You know, your first fight against Sakuraba, it was an MMA affair. It ended via technical submission due to Kimura. After the fight, how badly did you want a rematch with Sakuraba, and did you think it would take 14 years to finally happen?
I really thought that, because back then Pride was running the fighting scene, and I knew they would never allow me to have a rematch with him, you know? And I couldn't believe, like, life started taking me in different directions and moving things in a different way, and I never thought I would have the chance to be able to sweat with him again, you know, and I couldn't believe when the phone call came. I was completely out of shape, not training at all, taking care of some different business. When I got that call, I hang up the phone and I run 8 kilometers right away. I say, my man, put me in, and I couldn't believe they even tried to negotiate money with me. You know, I would do that for free.
Yeah.
All they had to do is invite me to fight. I'll be right there.
Now, Renzo, you know, Sakuraba was known for, you know, having a little bit of a feud with the Gracies back in the day. Just wondering, how real was the feud to you going into your fight against him in Pride, and what's your relationship like now with him?
I always admired Sakuraba a lot. I always thought he was an honest fighter, and I really thought he was the Japanese version of the Gracies, you know? Like, he was a guy who studied, who had the guts to jump in there and represent his art. You know, was the first Japanese to really understand Jiu-Jitsu and train Jiu-Jitsu to improve his game. Even though he may call catch wrestling, you could see his game was completely different. It was always guided towards submission and, you know, resisting, enduring, and then reversing the game. So I always was his fan, to be honest with you. And you have to understand what forces a good fighter. It's their opponents. It's tough opponents. And I was lucky to have so many great enemies that I could battle with, sweat with, beat them, and lose to them. You know, so Sakuraba was one of those.
Absolutely.
You know?
Now, Renzo, I want to go back in time a little bit. I want to talk to you about your childhood. In the Metamoris countdown video, which you can see on YouTube, you shared an interesting statement, and this is a quote. You said, "If you cut my legs and arms off and you lock me inside a black cell, I'll be fed only enough to survive. 20 years from now, you're going to open the door and you're going to see a smile on my face. A man who has the memories that I have, who lived the life that I lived, can never be sad." Now, I'm assuming an amazing childhood. Can you tell us about some of those memories that make you so happy?
Oh man, everything. The friends that I made, the lifestyle that I was able to get it from my grandfather. I could never. It's like I still think the day that he told me my goal was to be a lawyer.
Wow.
And he looked at me and he goes, "You are Gracie. You should be a jiu-jitsu fighter and a jiu-jitsu teacher. You're gonna find happiness there, you know." And he was right. I go, "You're going to be just another lawyer if you go to be a lawyer." I say, no, I'm going to be a great lawyer. He goes, "Even if you're a great lawyer, you're just another lawyer. But if you're a Gracie and you represent us, you're going to be a unique individual." And it's true. I realize now the importance of this amazing gift that my grandfather gave me. You know, he gave me he gave me friends. He gave me confidence. Now I realize that we are not in the business of selling martial arts. We're in the business of selling confidence. We're in the business of changing people's lives. We're in the business of feeling better about ourselves. It's like when we give, when we make people better, we feel great. You know, that's why I'm always smiling. I say, how I cannot smile? And to be honest, I had a life that people that will live 100 years could ever dream to have it. And I had the experience and the chance to see things and meet people and exchange knowledge and learn and teach from that. It's like I fulfill my life already. It's like if my life ended up today, I think it was a great life. You know, and what are we but souls looking to improve our way of shining, you know, and we do that by being good in life, by being great in attending people, and making people better, and making a difference. And I believe I did that, you know, and I'm glad to be able to say that out of my 47 years old only, even though I plan to live until I'm 100, at least. You know, so that's why my statement of if you lock me in a jail cell, in a dark jail cell, just give me enough to survive, I will still, when you open 20 years from now, I'll still be smiling. Because with the memories that I have, I'm never alone. I have always great company. I always can cheer myself up, and I always can even when I'm walking by myself, I have great company.
You know, Renzo, you're a legend in the sport, but it wasn't always so. Your first bout was in 1992 at the Gracie Veletudo in Brazil. We're just wondering, what went through your head as you had your first ever professional fight? What was that experience like?
You have to understand, I was fighting on the streets on closed doors for many years when I get to my first fight, you know, and I remember the first time I stepped in there, the only thing that I think, I say, finally, because now the things are a little bit lost, the concepts, but that was the first time that I could actually represent in public my family's name and my family's art, you know. So I was very proud to be, I say, finally got to the day that I dreamed so much, that I worked so hard to be able to do it. And that was the day. That was the first time that I fought in public. Even though I fought many times in closed doors, in the street, or we set up matches that we set up and went there and fought, that was the first time that I was actually officially representing my family's art and name. And that made me very proud. And I knew that was just the beginning, you know?
And so you mentioned that now the concepts are lost a little bit. What exactly did you mean by that?
It's because since the jiu-jitsu spread and the family spread too much, we lost a little bit, the elders have passed away, so we lost a little bit the leadership. So each one does what it pleases them, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you don't have a governing body driving the whole family interest in one direction, you know? And we dreamed that could be Horion back then, but he could never fulfill those shoes, you know? And that was the only thing that we felt sad about. And it became hard. I work hard to be able to do it, but I'm still too young. I'm still getting in there. I'm still fighting with them. But I believe soon I'll be able to put things together so the future generations of my family can have the amazing life, the amazing experience that I had, you know, growing up and living and exercising this amazing lifestyle that we have.
Absolutely. Now, Renzo, you know, when you were fighting in Charlotte, North Carolina for the WCC in 1995, did you ever think that mixed martial arts would be such a huge global sport like it is today?
To be honest, I even think it took too long. There's no better entertainment sport than mixed martial arts. You know, it's like people go to watch a NASCAR race to see the crash. People go watch a hockey game to see the fight. You know, they go watching the rugby game to see the battle there, that they put it in there.
Yeah.
We are guaranteed to give you a fight. We are guaranteed to give you a crash, you know, when you step in there with us. It's the most entertaining sport in the world. There's no such a thing more appellative than a fight. It's like you see a fight anywhere you are, you stop to watch it, you know, and you see professional guys, well-trained guys, prepared to fight each other, getting in the ring. It's the most beautiful fighting art form ever. You know, it's very captive. It's like the only way you could go. I went to the Olympics. I went to the Olympics in Australia. I had a great time. I love it. You know, it's like every time I step in Australian soil, I feel like I'm home. It's like I love the people. I love the sense of humor. I love how friendly people are, how warm the country is. You know, and I was there during the Olympics, and I end up feeling bored. It's like I watch those sports, and even though I respect all the athletes that are in there, the only way you could compare the sport to ours was if you get Mike Phelps, and when he jumped in the pool, you let it go a salty after him. You know? That would be the only one you could match in intensity. What we do with what they do. You know?
Yeah.
It's that's the reality. It's like get Bolt to run with a lion behind him, with a jaguar going after him. That would be the only way to match their sport to ours. You know. I go to this arena, and normally I have problems to sleep, but I go to watch those sports. I end up I end up like taking a nap, you know. It's like our sport is the only one that you need two balls to play, you know.
Yeah.
And they better be made of metal. I tell you right now.
Now, Renzo, one of the questions that all the fans have is, you know, you never did fight in the early UFCs. You went to Pride instead in 1997. Did you ever have the option to fight on an early UFC card?
No, back then Harden was running the UFC. He was one of the owners, and Royce worked with him. So for him, it was more interest to have just Royce. In reality, the person who deserved to be in the UFC was actually Rickson. Rickson was the one that was the best fighter in the family back then, was the one that earned and deserved the right to be fighting and be making his name in there, you know, and he wasn't awarded that privilege. You know, he had to go back, which ended up being a very positive thing, you know. It's like that's the beauty of life. What sometimes looks like you had a bad luck, in reality just save you from an even worse luck. With the Rickson going looking for new markets in Japan, we end up having unbelievable a decade of fights in Pride, in rings, in punk race. You know, it's like we end up bringing the fight scene to Japan, and it took off, and it became back then the number one in the world. You know, we had unbelievable matches, unbelievable. We had the history for 10 years made that we will never be forget.
Oh, absolutely. And to this day, you know, people still talk about Pride Never Dies and things like that. There's so many great memories from Pride. You were obviously part of the first ever Pride event. You know, tell us about that. What was that like? And did you think it would be such a big deal, you know, Pride?
It was unbelievable, man. I tell you, it's like the Japanese culture, the Japanese way of seeing things. It's unique. And it was great for us to have the opportunity to go back to the cradle, the amazing, the martial art that we learned, and learn from them their habits. And then we could understand many things that we learned, many ways that our grandfather taught us. We learned once we understood their culture. You know, it's a great people, brave people, you know, great fighters. That explains why they are so great fighters. They are very passionate. And when you want to teach someone to be a good fighter, you teach them to love. You know, and the Japanese people have a unique ability to love, and that love makes you proud, you know, makes you never quit. And that's what makes a great fighter. And that explains a lot why Pride, and that was the perfect name for the Japanese organization. Pride and love are part of the amazing Japanese culture. You know? And that was a unique decade because I had the opportunity to go 46 times to Japan. You know, and I had the chance to see Japan in ways that it's like I couldn't not even read in books about it. And it was amazing. It was a privilege. That's why I told you, I can die. You can lock me up, believe it. I'll have the experience that I had in life. I will walk out of a jail cell, a dark jail cell 20 years from now with a smile on my face. You know, and that's the reason, because I had access to things that I could never believe I could. I could never dream I wouldn't. Wow. It's like I still remember my teacher saying that fighting wouldn't take me nowhere. Or you were going to end up dead or in prison. You know, and I remember the first time that I looked at Mona Lisa, the first time that I looked at the work, at the masterwork of Da Vinci and at the Louvre in France, I remember I thought of her. Every time I stepped in Japan and I saw different cultures, I went basically all over the world. This martial art took me all over the world. Took me to friends that I couldn't believe I could make it. You know, I saw things that it's like, it just allowed my soul to be better. You know, if there's a life after this one, believe it, I will shine. And all this, how words always come to me, like this is going to take you to death or to prison. And I don't understand how pleased I am to make her wrong, you know, to see her wrong. And the best is every time my book gets published in a different language, I would send a copy to her and ask her to send me a copy of hers once it gets published. You know? Oh, yeah, that's life. And I have an elephant memory. I never forget, my friend.
And the teachers sound the same as ours and me and Casper growing up. Now, let's get back to your matchup with Sakuraba. You know, in the Metamoris 5 countdown, Sakuraba mentioned that both of you have most likely learned some new tricks. Tell us, what's the biggest difference between the Renzo from 14 years ago compared to the Renzo Gracie of today?
It's like I'm more mature. Before I was rushing into things, like the reason why he was able to apply the the arm lock was because I was trying to put the hooks in. I was trying to really be, even though it was 17 seconds to finish, I want to finish on his back, you know. And for the reason that I rushed things up, and I was able to improve with him, and he was one of the reasons that I was able to improve. And I want to prove that. I want to prove that I'm a better grappler, I'm a better fighter than I was when I had the opportunity to be matched up with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the rematch, obviously seems very important to you. It's not an MMA match, but what will your game plan be to deal with Sakuraba? And also, do you think that a lot of things that you learned from the first fight can carry over into the Metamoris rules?
Definitely. His grappling game, what made him so efficient in MMA was his grappling game. He was never a great striker, but he could strike, but his main thing was his grappling, and that's what I'm going to be facing now. Actually, I'm going to be facing the toughest part of Sakuraba. He's known for having heavy hips, a beautiful kimura coming from everywhere, great leg lock. So it's going to be a challenge. It may be a bigger challenge than when I faced him at Pride.
Wow.
But I believe this 14 years taught me a lot, and I'll be ready to represent and see all the knowledge that I learned over these 14 years after having the opportunity to fight him.
Now, Renzo, you've got a bit of a busy schedule ahead of you. You also have a grappling match against Matt Hughes at the 2015 ADCC in Brazil. You've talked about returning to MMA. Are you still planning on fighting in 2015 in MMA?
Now. I'm already in shape. And then I have to fight Matt Hughes in September. I said, what am I going to do in the middle? Die of boredom? No fucking way. Get me some opponents. It's fighting time,
So
Sorry, man. I'm Brazilian and from Rio. I'm impatient. It's like if there's two cariocas from Rio, you have a party. It's enough. So that's the reality. It's like I'm gonna be in shape now, and what I'm gonna do? Get out of shape and go back again? No.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to find at least 2 matches in the middle, so I can have my fun and keep my shape up, so I can have a great match with my brother Matt Hughes.
And you think in terms of those fights, you reckon there'll be MMA fights or just strictly grappling?
Oh no, it's gonna be MMA.
Oh wow.
It's gonna be MMA.
Have you already thought about where you'd compete? Have you spoken to the UFC or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm gonna look to go for the UFC.
Oh.
I'll go sit down with those boys and have a talk. I had the chat with Dana, and he said to me, Renzo, why you want to fight? I give you a check for you not to fight. I said to him, let's be honest, I want to fight for free.
Yeah.
And then he was like laughing. He goes like, yeah, Ken, you are amazing, And we're going to get together soon and see what we do. So if I'm feeling on the level, and I probably believe I can do good in there, for sure I'll be back in there. I have great training partners. I have Edson Barboza, I have Marlon Moraes, I have Ricardo Almeida, Igor Grego. So if I'm training with those boys, I have my brother Frank Edgar, I train with Chris Weidman, Matt Serra. So if I can hang around with those boys well, I can keep myself alive. I believe I can keep myself alive with anybody in there, So I'll be looking forward to train with my boys, and then if I can do well, I'll be back in MMA for sure next year.
Oh, yeah, it's a dream too. We had a lot of those guys like Matt Serra, Ray Longo, and Chris Weidman in Australia just last week. I was going to ask you, Renzo.
Yeah, that's my man. We create monsters. I call it Strong Island. It's Long Island where they're from. That's the first academy I had when I came to New York, and after Matt started getting good enough to teach, we passed that school to him, and he's been running very successfully ever since, and I was very glad with that. And look at the champions that are coming out of that, And Ray is part of the family. There's the guy who trains us in our stand-up, and you see the boys getting better and improving every time. And I do hope one of my fights will be in Australia. It's like there's nothing that I would love more, than to be in Australian soil, And then after we go see some wombats and some kangaroos and have a lager. That would be a pleasure.
Hey, man, we like our lagers here. I was just going to say, Renzo, obviously if you're going to return to the UFC, I would assume it to be the welterweight division. Have you had a look at any opponents or anyone that you think you'd like to fight?
No, I'm going to be looking to fight at 155.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because last time I was walking around at 168.
Oh.
So I'll probably will jump in at 155.
Any names that stand out? Any particularly that you'd like to fight?
No, I will ask them to match me with one of the 10 first ones.
Wow.
You know, make it. If they say the guys are too tough, I'll tell them to give them a warm-up fight. Then to give it to them as a warm-up fight.
Yeah.
Now, Renzo, we told the fans you're coming on the show, and we got a couple of fan questions, so I'll quickly go through them now. We got a question from Mike Hansen. He'd like to know your thoughts on the rivalry between Royce Gracie and Eddie Bravo at the moment. What are your thoughts on that?
It's fighting is what we do. If Eddie Bravo is a friend of ours, you know, it's a jiu-jitsu. He's a guy who fights under the jiu-jitsu flag. It's a representative of our beautiful art. But when we cannot fight, we don't have enemies to fight. We end up fighting among ourselves. This is a health discussion. It's a health, and to be honest, I think in the end, jiu-jitsu is going to gain from it. You know, it's just our way of dealing with things. Eddie Bravo and Royce are two great guys, and both represent the same flag. There's no reason for them to be arguing about. But believe it, if they got in a fight in front of me, I'll sit down and watch. And I hope I have a cold lager in my hand to enjoy. It's a very interesting thing. One time, Don Fry and Hallman got in a fight in the lobby of the hotel, and Baz Rutten was there. And as Baz Rutten it's looking like as the fight began, I just turned my chair and I keep watching the fight, you know. And Baz went crazy to pull the fight apart. And I say, Baz, and as Baz was trying to pull the fight apart, Ben is kicking him straight in the head, trying to hit Fry. Boy, knock down Baz. Baz looked at me and goes, man, this kid hits hard. I said, he punches hard. I said, no, it's not a punch, but that was a roundhouse kick that put you on the floor. You know? And then he started laughing. I go, man, I say, he goes, what's wrong with you Brazilians? The guy got in a fight and you guys fix your chair to watch. I say, Baz, this is what we do. What's the chance you're going to see this fight? Don't Fry with Dennis Hallman.
Wow.
Never. So let me watch this. Let's enjoy. If the thing gets ugly, one of them goes out, we pull them out. But before, so, you know, and the second one was between Victor Belfort and Anderson Silva. They're in the lobby of the hotel in Abu Dhabi. They're arguing. They're almost fighting. I got there. I looked. There was nobody there. I look at them and I say, boys, just to make things clear, if you guys fight, I'm not pulling you guys apart. I'll sit down and watch because I'd love to see this fight.
Yeah.
You know, so they stop arguing right away and both walk away, you know.
Wow, that's
So
crazy.
it's like how, you know, like, so if Eddie Bravo and Royce got in a fight and I'm next to them, I'll sit down and watch. And if one of them needs help to pull it, I will do it. You know, only in an extreme case. But besides that, that's what we do. We are fighters, so let them fight.
Just make sure you call us on Skype so we can watch as well, all right, Renzo?
Yeah.
We've got another fan question for you, Renzo. Matt MMA, his question is, your personal jiu-jitsu teacher, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi since 1993. How did you two first meet, and how often do you still train together?
I was there this week. I just came back. I was there training.
Wow.
We train every day. We roll for an hour and a half. And I had the opportunity to roll with Pablo Popovich. Pablo Popovich is there now, he's his personal trainer now. And I had the chance to train with him every day for 12 days. I just got back, like 3 days ago.
Wow.
And it's an amazing guy. His view of jiu-jitsu is incredible. You know, he always brings the top guys to train, to roll, and to exchange knowledge. And he is an amazing jiu-jitsu guy, an amazing instructor, and his knowledge on the art is amazing. And every time I sit with him, you know, and I'm because it's my whole life I train my shooters to be 10 times better than I am. I want to learn from them. You know, I don't want to train someone to be under me for the rest of their life. Mm-hmm. It's like I don't create followers. I create leaders. This is what I do, and I create leaders who can create leaders. And he's one of my top creations, you know, and he was one of the most amazing students I had, because even though everything in his life pulls him away from training and teaching, it doesn't matter what happened, he puts his effort and his work every day. You know, since I met him. The first time I met him, he came to my academy and he didn't tell me who he was. And we had opportunity. I love his guard already. He was a purple belt coming from a very good friend of mine, a guy that grew up with me. So he was able to roll, and I saw him roll, and I like already his technique. And then later, after a couple of days, he told me he was a sheikh from Abu Dhabi, and he invited me to come to see his country. Back then, Abu Dhabi was like a village, nothing compared to what it is today, you know. And he was one of the main guys who helped build that country in what it is today. You know, he's not only built jiu-jitsu, but he built that an amazing country, a fair country where people are treated with rights and equal, you know, and fairly, you know. And with that, he introduced jiu-jitsu to the school system. Right now, they have up to preschool. Soon, they're going to have it all the way up to high school. I just got a call from the campus of NYU. They're going to start a jiu-jitsu program in Abu Dhabi first, and then they plan to start here in New York. So it's amazing. Jiu-jitsu is reaching places that I cannot even believe, you know?
Wow.
Exactly what my teacher told me. Fight is going to take you to a cemetery or to a prison.
Now, Renzo, before we let you go, we're going to do a little thing we call the submission ready tap out round. We throw a whole bunch of fun questions at you, and you mention you answer with the first thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Throughout your career, what has been your favorite fight?
The next one.
What's the secret to being a great coach?
Love. You got to love the people that you teach.
What was your favorite belt to be at in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
What's my favorite?
So sort of like a favorite belt, like color. What colored belt was your favorite when you did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Purple?
Purple belt was my favorite. Purple belt was my favorite because it was exactly like if you become a good purple belt, you're going to be a good black belt.
Yeah.
And purple belt was exactly the belt that defined who you're going to be in the future.
Interesting. Now, Renzo, you've trained GSP before. Tell us, do you think he will return to fight again?
He will. I was with him 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks and a half ago, and he's already back training. He came over, trained a little. His knee's better now, and believe it, that guy's a champ. And I know him since he was 16, and he's been a champion since the first day, my man. And I don't see no quitting or no giving up on that boy. And even though he'll be out of the game for a little bit more, I don't believe that long because he was already moving like a cat again. But as soon as his knees 100%, he's back in the game. And he'll be the champion again.
I wish we moved like cats. Now, what has been your favorite match to watch at Metamoris so far?
It's like it's difficult to mention one in particular. Every single match you watch in Metamoris, it's unforgettable. It's unique. You know, it's amazing people with different skills, able to pull out amazing moves and amazing things. It's man, believe it, I'm so passionate for fighting. It's like if you ask me to compare the beauty of two women, I cannot. It's like every woman is so beautiful in their own way that you cannot to compare that beauty. I'll be not polite.
Yeah. Well, Renzo, final question. You've been such an inspiration to so many people, but who's someone that you've always looked up to as an athlete? Who's inspired you?
I think that the biggest inspiration I had was my Uncle Hollis. He was my first teacher. He taught me until when he died. I was 14 years old when he died. And like everything that I am and that I tried to be was how I saw him. You know, and I see all his students, all the first generations of his students, the ones who got the black belt, they all saw him the same way. They all have the same admiration, and they all became very successful thanks to his teachings and his ability to motivate people. And my whole life, he was my inspiration. Like every night when I lay in bed, I pray to him.
Wow. Well, Renzo, it's been an absolute pleasure and honor chatting to you. I feel like we could sit here for hours and listen to you because you're such an interesting guy. Guys, don't forget, Renzo Gracie is, of course, competing at Metamoris 5 against Kazushi Sakuraba next weekend. It is going to be November the 22nd, but in Australia, because of the future time difference, it'll be the November 23rd. Don't forget to follow Renzo on Twitter at Renzo Gracie BJJ. Renzo, again, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on Submission Radio.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Send my love to the Australian people, all the Aussies. I love them all. And I'll be back there soon, maybe to do seminars or to have a laugh, and I hope to fight in the UFC for you guys. It'll be a pleasure. It'll be the greatest honor ever. Every memory I have from Australia, it's a great memory.
We're excited. Thank you so much, Renzo. Appreciate it.
Thank you, my brother. All the best to you boys. Bye-bye.
See you, Renzo. Bye-bye.